Welcome. I'm Dr. Andrew Wilner, author of The Locum Life, a physician's guide to locum tenens. And this is our continuing series about locums. And today I have the opportunity to speak with Nichole Paskett. Nichole is a staffing agent for CompHealth, one of the largest and the oldest staffing agencies for locum tenens. I thought it was really important to hear about the agent's point of view. I've written about locum tenens and interviewed a lot of physicians about it, but I thought it would be really valuable to have a staffing agent's point of view. So, welcome, Nichole. So, say I'm a physician and we've talked and I want an assignment.
Yeah.
What can I do to make sure I get? I'm sure some assignments are better than others.
Yeah.
How do I get a good one? What do I need to do to get a good assignment?
Yeah. So I think personally, the first thing you need to do is figure out what is good to you and what makes a good assignment to you. Like, what is your goal and what's most important to you? Is it location? Is it the amount of time? Is it the pay? You know, I guess a combination of all three, and communicate that with your recruiter, because once we know what your goals are and what's most important to you, we can help build a plan based off of that. So um, in my opinion, so if it's, let's just say it's location, that's, you want a better location as far as I'll have people that call me and they want, New York City or Hawaii or Southern California, some of those more heavily saturated areas. What's important would be to move quickly, then to be responsive. If you see a job that's in a location that is important to you, move quickly, because those go fast, just like in the permanent sector. And um, there will be more candidates applying for that position, and it'll locums is a fast moving business, as you know. And then if it's pay, communicate that with your representative, like myself. I'll have physicians that will let me know, this is what I need to be making to ensure it's worth my time to close my practice for a week, or for me to leave my permanent contract, I need to be making X amount for the year. Pay is the most important factor to me, because I'm trying to pay off my medical school loans or whatever it might be. And then we specialize in negotiating, the best pay that we can for you, and ensuring your CV is up to date. All of your qualifications are on there. You're up to date on your CME, and different factors that can set you apart from other candidates.
Now you've been doing this for more than a dozen years.
Yeah.
What's the marketplace like now? So I'm a
Yeah.
neurologist. I'm thinking of doing locums. Are there Is it hard for me to find a position? Are there a lot of positions? What is the
Yeah.
market now?
The market's, gosh, it's growing. It's crazy to see how much it's grown. And I mean, even the last 5 years, but especially since I started, over 10 years ago. Your specialty is a very high in demand specialty, neurology. And it, for locums, it mirrors, or I found, in my opinion, it mirrors the permanent job market. So specialties that are in high demand, hospital-based specialties right now, hospitalist, internal medicine, neurology, even psych, cardiology, all of those are in high demand. I can confidently say that I can, for my specialty, where I'm the, you know, I guess my focus being neurology, I can confidently say, if I have a neurologist coming to me that has some flexibility, uh, we can keep you as busy as you want. If you go on our website on comphealth.com right now, I think there's over 5,500 jobs for all of our specialties right now for locums. So if that gives you an idea, we're the largest locums uh, agency, and then CompHealth and Weatherby, our sister company, right behind us. So I can confidently say CHG, continues to lead the market, and we can keep you as busy as you want to be.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, there's there are some thorny details about
Yes.
working locums,
Yes.
and I want to talk about those. One is licensing. So
Yes.
obviously, if I'm a physician and I want to work in South Dakota, I've got
Yeah,
to get a South Dakota license.
you
And
do.
if I want to
Yep.
work in Minnesota, I have to have a Minnesota license. Do, and the more licenses I have, the more job opportunities I'm going to have. But the licenses, you have to keep up the CME, and of course, you have to pay for the licenses. How does CompHealth help out in that respect? And before you answer that, how many licenses should I get?
Well, it varies. Licensing, yes, that can be paperwork. I don't think that's any physician's favorite thing to do, right? I don't think that's why most of you guys got into medicine. Um, so yeah, I know that could be the thorn in your side, and a benefit to working with my licensing team. Um, so as far as how many licenses, it varies. So it depends. Um, where do you want to practice? Are you totally flexible and open to going to multiple locations? You may only need two licenses, or one for that matter. I have some physicians that work full-time locums that only hold one state license, some that hold 10, some that do, telemedicine, for example, that hold over
Mm.
20. So it really just varies, person to person. And that's why it's really important to communicate to your agency that you're working with what's important to you as far as location and your goals, so that we can best guide you in a plan. The great thing that exists now is the interstate medical compact license. So I think they have
That sounds
uh,
about right.
26 states that participate, and it's a pathway to licensure. The fees are still there, but again, as an agency, we cover, for the most part, we would cover those fees as it's tied to locums work. Um, but the paperwork, once you're enrolled in that, if you qualify, there are some qualifications that need to be met for the Interstate Medical License Compact. But once you qualify, that expedites the licensing process significantly. And if you don't qualify for it, based on different factors, or um, that are on their website and ours. We can suggest certain states where we get most locums work. I have data that I can pull, let's say for my specialty specifically, saying, oh, okay, Washington would be a good state for you if you're totally open to location and you just want to be doing strictly neurohospitalist work. This is where we get the most neurohospitalist work, up here in Washington State or Pennsylvania or wherever that might be. And or there are certain states that are just easier to obtain. They have either locum tenens licenses or an easier process. So it all just depends on what your goals are.
And I remember when I got my Nevada license, the
Mm-hmm.
agent there was very proud that Nevada was one of the most difficult licenses in the country to get, that they had more obstacles,
Yeah.
fingerprinting and documentation than anybody else. And so she congratulated me that I actually managed to get all of the required documents to Nevada. And of course, Nevada is one of the states that has one of the biggest physician shortages in the
Yeah.
country. So I wonder if those two things are associated. Can you tell me off the top of your head, if I had to
Mm-hmm.
pick one state as a neurologist to get a license where the most work is, where they
Yeah.
really need neurology? Do you happen to? Can you give me
Yeah,
a?
I would say, I mentioned Washington State as a neurohospitalist, and Pennsylvania. Those are the two. And being strategic about things, especially where Pennsylvania right now takes anywhere between 14 to 16 weeks to obtain, that might be something that you would work with your rep to proactively license you for in Pennsylvania, where Washington only is taking about 5 weeks. So you might have time while your hospital privileges are in process to obtain that. But those are a couple offhand. Ohio is another state that I see a lot of.
All right, let me switch
Yeah.
to the the other problematic area for
Sure.
physicians, malpractice.
Yeah, malpractice. Okay.
So I have my job, but I want to work locums part time. And of course, I have malpractice insurance through my
Yeah.
regular job. And now I want to go work locums. So, do I need additional malpractice? And if so, where do I get it?
Yeah. So you would need to obtain malpractice insurance through CompHealth if you're working with my agency. And most reputable agencies, especially if they're members of NALTO, would provide you malpractice insurance. And our limits are standard, like any other carrier. Um, so you aren't, generally speaking, able to use your own malpractice insurance during a locums assignment, and your malpractice insurance that you would have through CompHealth would be solely for your work through CompHealth. After you're um, done with your locums assignment, let's just say you decide to work just a week of locums in between two permanent jobs, for example, you don't need to worry about purchasing tail coverage, for example, because you're covered no matter when the claim occurs. So it's lifetime coverage. And if you already have malpractice, let's say a malpractice claim rather, if we're going that route as well, that doesn't preclude you from working locums at all. Just like any permanent position that you're applying for, you would just need to communicate that up front, whether it's a pending case or previous payout. Just communicate that with your rep just to ensure that they can communicate that with the facility that you're applying to and allow enough time for licensure or hospital privileges.
Oh, that's great. In fact, that was my next question.
Oh,
So
okay.
let me just summarize what you said because I
Yeah,
think it's really important.
yeah,
You have to have additional malpractice for your locums, but if you work through an agency like CompHealth, they will provide it and they will also provide the
that's correct.
tail. And then if
Correct.
you happen to have a malpractice claim against you, as more than half of physicians do if they're over
Yeah,
55 years old, it's a common thing, that
correct.
will not keep you from working locum tenens, but you need to be upfront about it on your application, share that information with your staffing agent, and it should, maybe if you have 10 claims, it might become a problem, but one or two certainly wouldn't be. Is that right?
That's correct. And even if you did have 10, it may not be, especially depending on your specialty and your work history. There's different factors that our internal credentialing department will look at. It may not, again, bar you from working locums. It's just something that we have to make sure you have uh, listed up front. And then also make sure, if you do have malpractice, whether it's pending or previous payouts, have your documentation gathered, whether it's court documents or whatever it might be. Just ensure you have that, because you will be asked to supply that for the licensing board or to CompHealth, since we would be covering your malpractice insurance as well as hospital privileging applications. As you know, they all ask about it. So it's just important to make sure you're organized and have a explanation available.
Right. In my book, I talk about making a folder either on
Hmm.
Dropbox or iCloud or
Yeah.
somewhere with all of your diplomas and
Yep.
letters of recommendation and state licenses, because somehow these things are always being asked for, and it's usually something that you don't use every day. So
Yeah.
I have PDFs of all of these documents, so I can produce them pretty quickly. And I think that's something that locum tenens physicians probably would benefit from doing. Now, we've
Yes.
talked a lot about neurology. I guess I can't help that. I'm a neurologist. And
Right.
do you have a kind of an overview of which other specialties are in big demand now for locum tenens?
Yeah, again, it mirrors, in my opinion, closely to what the market looks like in high demand specialties for permanent staffing. Locums trends follow the same. So a lot of those same specialties that like neurology and cardiology and OB and family medicine, or hospital-based specialties that you can find information about online. It's mirrored, in my opinion, on the locums front.
So pretty much any specialty. I think I read somewhere that psychiatry is actually in
Yeah.
big demand, which surprised me somehow. The traveling nurse is sort of an image in your brain, but the
Uh-huh.
traveling psychiatrist somehow was it. But that's
Not as
that's
much.
a reality. That's a
It
real.
is. It is. I was reading about that last week as well.
Let's see. What about other agencies? So I've worked with CompHealth, but
Yeah.
I went through your 5,500 job opportunities and I don't see what I want. If I'm working with you, am I allowed to work with a different agency as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So I find a lot of the physicians that that might originally inquire about locums, if they're not referred to me, let's say from another physician, um, they might just be on the prowl looking at different job opportunities online. So it's not uncommon for them to be originally inquiring with multiple agencies online, and not a problem at all. No conflict of interest generally. Most of the time, I find once they have had an experience with a specific agency and it's gone well, they tend to gravitate to just primarily working with that agency for their relationship that they have with their recruiter or agent, and also just for ease of scheduling and other things like that. But yeah, it's not a problem at all. Again, it just comes down to communication and making sure that you're communicating with each agency about other assignments that you've accepted so that they can help you ensure that there's not a conflict as far as scheduling goes, even just travel time and little things that we can take off of your plate, and then um, it's generally not a problem at all.
Well, Nichole, this has been really fabulous information. Before we wrap up, I want to give you an opportunity to give. Do you have any advice you would give to a physician who's thinking
Yeah.
about doing locums?
So take a look at this book that
Okay,
Dr.
great.
Wilner wrote. It's super educational. I know you're not asking for any plug by me or anything, but truly, I've recommended it to several physicians who have just don't have the, even in the faintest idea of, what is locums all about. So I think educate yourself. There's lots of resources online. CompHealth's website has a lot of resources about locums and, just CV writing tips and interviewing and, what taxes look like and things like that. So I think uh, educating yourself as much as possible to ensure it's something you want to do. And then speaking with a recruiter, someone like myself who is the expert in that field that can help answer any questions that you might have, let you know what the job opportunities are, see if it's worth your time, and kind of just dip your toe into the locums market. I think another thing that I really like to do is um, connect physicians with other physicians that have worked locums, so you can speak with someone, even if it isn't the same specialty, someone that's done locums either at the facility you're interested in working at or just in general, so you can get their take physician to physician. So that's something I always try to do with the doctors that I work with and I recommend. And then lastly, just try it, give it a try. That would be my advice is, even if it's something short, try. If you're not sure you want to make that leap, try a weekend or a week and kind of see, like, is this something that would help bring me some work-life balance? Would it make me happy, fulfill my career goals or networking goals, financial goals, whatever they might be? So that would be my last advice, is just give it a shot.
That's great. I want to thank you for joining me on this
Thanks.
webcast. This is really
Thanks for having
great.
me.
And it was a lot of fun. Thanks very
Yes, thanks
much.
for having me. Yes, take care.